Hey guys, welcome to my video channel. I'm Chow. Today I'm going to share with you my post-processing workflow and also what kind of adjustments that I make to produce my photos. Hopefully this will give you some ideas on how you could edit your photo too. Before I start, I want to highlight that this is my general flow every time when I edit a photo. But sometimes I may change the sequences of the editing steps or maybe adding other adjustments based on the types of the photo that I'm editing. So it's going to be different when editing a photo of the Milky Way or black and white photo, but the overall concept is the same. Just you need to have some flexibility in editing. So my post-processing workflow. The first thing that I usually do after I import my photos into Adobe Lightroom is selecting the right photo for editing. I may pick one or more photos if I want to do exposure recovery or blending multiple images to make my photo more interesting. An example is blending multiple fireworks into a single photo. Also, at this stage, I will make some basic adjustments to all the selected photos. Adjustments such as lens correction, white balance, or matching exposure between the photos so that I can blend in them seamlessly later. Then I will move my photos to Photoshop. At Photoshop, I will start with the exposure recovery. I may use 2 or 3 photos to recover an overexposed highlight or underexposed shadow. Most of the time, I use luminosity masking technique to do that. The technique allows me to have a precise selection that targeting a specific area based on luminosity value. With that, I'm able to recover the exposure perfectly without any halo effect. There are many things you can do with luminosity masking. And if you are interested, you can check out some of my previous videos. I put the links in the below description of this video. After I have recovered the exposure, I'll do something creatively using the blending technique, which is why I call this stage as creative blending stage. This is where I blend in multiple photos of light trails to create a perfect one, or blending regions to create something more interesting and unique, or adding lights to the photos using the time blending technique. I have a video that talks about how to blend lights into your photo, and if you are interested, you can check it out in the below description. The next stage is fixing. This is where I remove the dust or any unwanted subjects such as tourists, rubbish, or anything that I think is distracting. After that, I will apply sharpening to my photo. This sharpening here is known as base sharpening or the raw sharpening. The purpose of this sharpening is to enhance the detail of the image. It is not the final sharpening for web or printing. Usually, I use the high-pass sharpening technique to do that. To do the high-pass sharpening, I'll first merge all the adjustments into a new layer by pressing Ctrl, Alt, Shift, and E buttons or Command, Option, Shift, and E button on Mac. Make sure the new layer is selected, go to Filter, Other, High Pass. For the radius, normally I will key in 2.8 and then click OK. Now choose the blend mode and change it to overlay. So let's see the before and after. Before and after. You don't really see any difference here, but let's zoom in. Before, after, before, after. You can see that the photo is much sharper than before. So that's the base sharpening using high-pass sharpening technique. Alternatively, you can also use the texture slider in Adobe Lightroom or Adobe Camera Raw to do the sharpening. Next is the most important part of the editing workflow is the tonal and color adjustment. This is where you can apply your personal artistic style to your photo. The tonal adjustment here can be adjusting the brightness or contrast of the photo using level or curve adjustment layer, or maybe using dodge and burn to brighten or darken certain areas of your photo, or adding vignette to your photo. For color adjustment, it's more about modifying or saturating the colors. Tools that are often used are color balance adjustment, hue saturation, and also selective color adjustment. Sometimes also using curve adjustment layer to play around with red, green, and blue channel to create the color tones that I want. After the tonal and color adjustment, the next stage is noise reduction. Noise reduction is optional here, and if I really need to do noise reduction, I will apply it only to the sky. The reason is that noise reduction can also reduce the sharpness of your photo. I don't want my subjects look soft. Also, noise is more noticeable on the sky. And even though the sky can be a bit soft after the noise reduction, but no one can tell. To do the noise reduction, usually I use the Nik Define from Nik software. It is a Photoshop plugin, and you can get the free version in the below description of this video. The free version is an older version, but it works fine. Next is the output sharpening. This is the last step of my post-processing workflow. It's where I will resize my image and perform sharpening for printing. If I want to upload my photo for my website or maybe social media like Facebook or Instagram, I will use a technique called wax sharpening to do the sharpening. You can check out my previous video on how I do the wax sharpening. The link is included in the below description of this video too. After that, I will use the Save for Web function in Photoshop to export my photo. So that's my post-processing workflow. Hopefully there's something that you can learn from and apply to your own workflow. Also, you can share with me what is your thought about the workflow and maybe your own workflow too. Just leave me a comment at the bottom there. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoy it, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my video channel. So see you next time.